Today is September 5th, 2025. India stands at a new dawn. This dawn is not of empires or ideologies. It is a dawn of biology and technology fused into one. We call this the bio-revolution. For decades, India was known for its software prowess, its ability to manipulate ones and zeros. Now it is becoming known for its ability to manipulate the very building blocks of life: genes, proteins, and cells. This shift is profound. It is changing the Indian economy. It is changing Indian society. And it will, in time, change what it means to be human in this part of the world. The numbers tell a compelling story. The Indian bioeconomy is no longer a niche sector. It has grown into a significant force. In 2024, it crossed the monumental $150 billion mark. Forecasters predict it will reach $300 billion by 2030. This is not just abstract data on a spreadsheet. It represents real-world impact. This growth contributes significantly to India's gross domestic product. It creates jobs not just for highly skilled scientists in sterile labs, but for a whole ecosystem of technicians, data analysts, and support staff. The bioeconomy is becoming a key pillar of India's ambition to become a $5 trillion economy. This rise is not accidental. It is the result of a confluence of factors. India has a vast pool of scientific talent. Its universities and research institutes produce thousands of skilled biologists, chemists, and engineers every year. For a long time, this talent often went abroad, seeking better opportunities. This brain drain is now reversing. The opportunities are now here, in cities like Bengaluru, Hyderabad, and Pune. These cities are becoming global hubs for biotechnology, much like Silicon Valley became a hub for information technology. The revolution is being built by Indians, for India, and increasingly, for the world. What does this bio-revolution look like on the ground? It looks like new vaccines being developed in record time. It looks like crops that are resistant to drought and pests, promising food security for 1 billion people. It looks like diagnostic kits that can detect diseases early and accurately. It looks like biofuels that promise a cleaner future. Each of these innovations is a small step in India's larger journey. It is a journey from being a recipient of technology to becoming a creator of technology. This is the essence of India's biotech boom. It is a story of self-reliance, ambition, and the quest to master the forces of life itself. The Indian biotechnology market is a story of relentless growth. Its trajectory is not linear, it is exponential. What was a modest industry a decade ago is now a behemoth. The market's size has expanded dramatically, driven by both domestic needs and global demand. India is no longer just the pharmacy of the world for generic drugs. It is now aspiring to be the laboratory of the world for innovative biological solutions. This ambition is reflected in the market's vibrant and diverse landscape, which is expanding at a compound annual growth rate of over 15%. This is a pace few other sectors can match. The market can be broken down into several key segments. Each segment tells a part of the larger story. Biopharmaceuticals are the largest piece of the pie. This includes vaccines, biologics, and biosimilars. India's success in vaccine manufacturing, especially during the recent global health crises, has put it on the world map. Then there is the bio-industrial segment, which focuses on enzymes, biofuels, and bioplastics. This is India's answer to the challenge of climate change. Bioagriculture, with its focus on genetically modified crops and biopesticides, addresses food security. Finally, the bioservices segment, offering research and manufacturing services to global firms, leverages India's cost advantage and skilled workforce. Consider the growth in biopharmaceuticals. Biologics, complex proteins derived from living cells, are the future of medicine. They offer targeted treatments for diseases like cancer and autoimmune disorders. Indian companies are aggressively moving into this space. They are not just making biosimilars, which are copies of existing biologics. They are also investing in novel biologics. This is a high-risk, high-reward game, but it is a game India is now willing to play. The success in this segment is crucial for the industry's long-term health and its transition from imitation to innovation. This rapid expansion is attracting global attention. International corporations are setting up R&D centers in India. They are collaborating with Indian firms and academic institutions. Venture capitalists, once hesitant, are now pouring money into biotech startups. This influx of capital and expertise is creating a virtuous cycle. It fuels more research, which leads to more products, which attracts more investment. The market is not just growing in size, it is growing in sophistication. It is an ecosystem that is learning, adapting, and evolving at a breathtaking pace, creating a powerful engine for India's economic future. No great industrial revolution happens in a vacuum. It requires a guiding hand. In India, that hand belongs to the government. The state has recognized that biotechnology is not just another industry, it is a strategic asset. Therefore, it has moved from being a passive regulator to an active promoter. The government's role has been crucial in creating an environment where biotech innovation can flourish. It has done this through a series of well-thought-out policies and financial support mechanisms. These policies act as the wind in the sails of India's biotech ship, pushing it into new and uncharted waters. A key example of this proactive approach is the National Biotechnology Development Strategy. This is not just a document, it is a roadmap. It sets clear targets and outlines the steps needed to achieve them. Under this strategy, several new initiatives have been launched. One is the BioE3 program, which stands for Bioeconomy for Environment, Employment, and Entrepreneurship. This program aims to connect the dots between research, industry, and society. It funds projects that have a clear commercial and social impact, ensuring that scientific breakthroughs do not remain confined to the lab. It is about turning knowledge into tangible value for the nation. Another significant policy is the BioRide initiative, or biotechnology research, innovation, and development for a green economy. This policy specifically targets the development of sustainable technologies. It supports research in areas like biofuels, waste valorization, and carbon capture. The government understands that the challenges of the 21st century, like climate change and resource scarcity, require biological solutions. BioRide is India's strategic bet on a greener, more sustainable future, powered by biotechnology. It provides grants, incubates startups, and helps create the infrastructure needed for this green transition. Beyond these flagship programs, the government provides support in many other ways. It has simplified the regulatory approval process for new biotech products, making it faster and more transparent. It offers tax incentives for R&D expenditure. It has established a dedicated agency, the Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, to fund and mentor startups. This multi-pronged approach creates a supportive ecosystem. It de-risks innovation for private players and encourages them to take on ambitious projects. The government is not just a referee, it is an active player on the team, working to ensure India wins the biotech race. An army cannot march without roads. A biotech industry cannot grow without infrastructure. India has been methodically building this infrastructure over the last 2 decades. But this is not just about physical buildings and expensive equipment. It is also about building systems, processes, and a reputation for quality. This foundation of hard and soft infrastructure is what allows the Indian biotech industry to compete on the global stage. It's really the invisible scaffolding that supports the towering ambitions of the sector. Without this solid base, the rapid growth we see today would be impossible. One of the most impressive achievements is the network of biotech parks and incubators across the country. These are not just real estate projects. They are curated ecosystems. A typical park, like the Genome Valley in Hyderabad, offers state-of-the-art laboratory facilities, shared equipment, and office spaces. More importantly, it brings together startups, large companies, academic institutions, and venture capitalists. This proximity fosters collaboration and sparks innovation. A scientist can walk across the corridor to discuss a problem with an experienced entrepreneur. A startup can rent a high-end sequencer for a few hours instead of buying one. This model lowers the barriers to entry and accelerates the pace of research. Perhaps the most significant indicator of India's infrastructural strength is its record with international regulatory agencies. The stamp of approval from the United States Food and Drug Administration is the global gold standard for pharmaceutical quality. Indian pharmaceutical companies have the highest number of US-FDA-approved manufacturing plants outside of the United States. This is a remarkable achievement. It speaks volumes about the quality control systems, manufacturing practices, and technical expertise within the Indian industry. This trust, earned over decades in the generic drug space, is now being extended to biotechnology products. This legacy of quality and compliance gives India a crucial competitive advantage. When an Indian company develops a new biological vaccine, it can leverage this existing infrastructure and expertise. It already knows the rulebook for global markets. It has the trained manpower to meet the exacting standards of agencies like the US-FDA and the European Medicines Agency. This ability to manufacture complex biological products at high quality and low cost is India's unique selling proposition. The physical parks provide the space for innovation, but it is this invisible infrastructure of trust and quality that opens the doors to the world. The path to global leadership is never smooth. It is fraught with challenges. For India's booming biotech sector, these challenges are very real. The world of 2025 is a complex place. Geopolitical tensions can erupt unexpectedly, disrupting trade and collaboration. New tariffs can be imposed overnight, making products uncompetitive. And, as we have learned recently, global supply chains are surprisingly fragile. These external shocks pose a significant threat to the industry's growth trajectory. Navigating this stormy international environment requires resilience, foresight, and strategic planning. Geopolitical tensions are a major concern. The relationship between major world powers can be unpredictable. A trade war or a diplomatic dispute can have ripple effects across the globe. For example, restrictions on the export of key technologies or raw materials from one country can halt production in another. India's biotech industry, which is increasingly integrated into global networks, is vulnerable to such disruptions. Access to specialized chemicals, advanced equipment, or even scientific collaborations can be affected. The industry must therefore diversify its partnerships and reduce its dependence on any single country for critical inputs or markets. Tariffs and non-tariff barriers are another persistent hurdle. While India champions free trade, it often faces protectionist policies in other countries. These can take the form of high import duties on Indian biotech products. They can also be subtle, non-tariff barriers, such as complex and slow-moving local regulatory approvals designed to protect domestic industries. These barriers increase the cost and time it takes to bring an Indian product to a foreign market. Overcoming them requires patient diplomacy, negotiation at the government level, and a deep understanding of the regulatory landscape in each target market. The fragility of global supply chains is perhaps the most immediate challenge. The biotech industry relies on a complex web of suppliers for everything from simple lab consumables to highly specialized active pharmaceutical ingredients. A lockdown in one part of the world, a shipping crisis in a major waterway, or a fire at a key factory can create a domino effect. This can lead to production delays, cost overruns, and an inability to meet commitments. To mitigate this risk, Indian companies are now focusing on building more resilient supply chains. This includes increasing local manufacturing of critical raw materials, the Atmanirbhar Bharat or Self-Reliant India initiative, diversifying supplier bases and holding larger inventories. While challenges exist, the opportunities on the horizon are even greater. India is not just catching up with the world, it is poised to lead in several key areas of biotechnology. The future of the industry lies in moving up the value chain, from providing services and generics to creating novel, high-impact products. Three frontiers in particular hold immense promise: biologics, next-generation vaccines, and bioagriculture. These are the fields where Indian innovation can make a significant global impact, addressing some of humanity's most pressing problems in health and food security. The first frontier is biologics and biosimilars. Biologics are the cutting edge of medicine, offering powerful treatments for complex diseases. However, they are also incredibly expensive, putting them out of reach for millions. This is where India can play a transformative role. By developing high-quality, affordable biosimilars, Indian firms can democratize access to these life-saving medicines globally. Furthermore, companies are now investing heavily in novel biologics discovery. With its strong base in chemistry and biology, India has the potential to become a hub for inventing the next generation of blockbuster drugs, not just replicating them. The second frontier is vaccines. India's reputation as the world's vaccine factory is well established. It produces over 60% of the world's vaccines by volume. The future, however, lies in new vaccine technologies. Platforms like mRNA and viral vectors, which proved so crucial recently, are now a major focus of Indian research and development. The goal is to create a capacity for rapid development and large-scale manufacturing of vaccines for future pandemics. This involves not just the vaccines themselves, but the entire ecosystem, from antigen design and platform technology to clinical trials and mass production. India aims to be the world's first responder for future health emergencies. The third frontier is bioagriculture. With a growing population and the increasing threat of climate change, ensuring food security is a paramount challenge. Biotechnology offers powerful tools to address this. Indian researchers are developing genetically engineered crops that are more nutritious, resistant to pests, and tolerant to drought and salinity. They are also creating biopesticides and biofertilizers that can improve crop yields without harming the environment. This green biotech revolution promises to increase farm productivity, reduce the use of chemical inputs, and make Indian agriculture more sustainable and resilient in the face of a changing climate. Every grand vision needs fuel. For the biotech industry, that fuel is capital. Biotechnology research is a long, expensive, and risky journey. It can take more than a decade and hundreds of millions of dollars to bring a new drug from the laboratory to the patient. This high-risk, long-gestation nature of the business poses significant financial challenges. Startups struggle to find early-stage funding. Even larger companies find it difficult to finance multiple parallel research and development projects. Securing the right kind of patient, long-term capital is one of the biggest hurdles for the Indian biotech sector. The financial needs of a biotech company are unique. A tech startup might need capital for a few years to build an app and scale its user base. A biotech startup, however, needs funding for a much longer period, with no revenue in sight for years. It needs money for preclinical studies, then for Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3 clinical trials. Each stage is more expensive and carries a high risk of failure. Traditional banks are often unwilling to lend against such uncertain future returns. Venture capitalists may provide early-stage funding, but they often seek quick exits, which may not align with the long development timelines of biotech products. This is where specialized financial partners like Bespoke Financials come in. They understand the unique financial rhythm of the life sciences industry. They do not offer one-size-fits-all solutions. Instead, they provide tailored financial strategies that align with the specific needs of a biotech company at different stages of its life cycle. For an early-stage startup, this might mean connecting them with angel investors and venture funds that specialize in deep tech. For a mid-sized company looking to fund a clinical trial, it might involve structuring venture debt or a syndicated loan. Bespoke Financials does more than just arrange funding. It acts as a strategic advisor. It helps companies build a compelling business case, prepare for due diligence, and navigate the complex world of financial markets. By providing expert guidance on financial planning, risk management, and capital structuring, firms like Bespoke Financials help de-risk the innovation process. They build a bridge between the world of science and the world of finance. This role is critical. By ensuring that promising ideas do not die for lack of funding, they are helping to fuel the engine of India's biotech boom, turning scientific dreams into commercial realities and a global powerhouse.